Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Green and Gold Over Everything, episode 3, season 2. Well, y'all, last week, a little down, a little sad. This week, whole different dream. Very proud of what I saw last Sunday from this green and gold football team, this Green Bay Packer football team. The excitement level, definitely a little bit different heading into this week. So I'm not going to sugarcoat all this. I'm gonna go ahead and get this party started right. I got my guys on today. We got Randell Burns, Rucker's in the building from the Ruck Report. We about to talk all this pack of goodness. So y'all go ahead and get ready because Green and Gold Over Everything starts now.
Here's Lowe. Taps it a couple times. Going end zone. Caught. Dobbs. Touchdown.
From the
Green Bay.
Atlanta 32. Off the play fake. Love fires over the middle, and it's caught for a first down and a touchdown by Dontavian Alexander this afternoon. Carr taken down on third down. Kenny Clark, the two-time Pro Bowler. 9, second quarter underway. Carr down. Back at the 16-yard line. Rashawn Garrett. Here's Reed. And Reed wins. And Reed got a block. And a touchdown! He comes his way. Takes it behind. He's sacked by Luke Van Ness. Here comes the Chiefs. Pressure's on. Love. Throw. Enzo Wilson. Oh, did he touchdown? He did. Dobbs in motion. Love. Flips it to the end zone. Touchdown. Oh, Melton's got that one. And Jones runs down their face. Fake it to him here. Love. Back foot. Has a man wide open. It's going to be caught by Musgrave. Racing towards the end zone. He is in. Touchdown, Green Bay. 35, four-man rush. Prescott fires for Cooks, and it's intercepted. Jair Alexander, he's got it. Up on his feet, racing to the end zone, and is in. Touchdown, Green Bay.
If that doesn't get you hyped before this show starts, then I question every bit of your green and gold in your life. I question every bit of it, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't have that feeling after that, look, y'all, we're here, episode 3, season 2, Green and Gold Over Everything. I got the fellas with me today. First of all, let me go ahead and introduce my man, Goody Man. Got it. You already know my man, Randell Burns. Randell, how you feeling today, brother? I feel a victory lap in your spirit, sir. I feel a victory lap in your spirit.
Hey, man, they took that playbook down to the studs. They said throw away anything complicated. You got to win. Man said, all right, Tom, so we're going to figure this out. I don't know if you got that picture I sent you, but Jordan said, I don't know, man. But that young man came through. And I think it as a supporter, man. I supported that man at Liberty, but I'm gonna go back to what Taylor Lewan said. Whenever somebody gonna compliment you, and it's not really a compliment, they start naming stuff that has nothing to do with the situation.
Yo,
Taylor Lewan was on his podcast. He's like, Malik's a great young man. He's always smiling, human being, always got a nice energy about him, but he don't know ball. He can't see the safeties half the time. People start dropping off in the coverage, and he don't know where that ball's supposed to go. When I heard that, oh, God, we're in trouble.
Oh, no.
And sure enough, they ran the playbook just like Taylor Lewan said they need to run the playbook, run the hell out of the ball. I don't know what's going to happen this week. Oh, we got the Titans this week?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be all right. Because that quarterback on the other side the exact same way.
He's still trying to figure out what mayonnaise we got going on.
He don't know ball either.
All right, next, of course, our man, the Ruck Report in the building. D-Ruck, how you doing today, brother?
Man, I can't believe it. We came through. My man Burns is ready. My son is happy.
Go ahead, bring the future in. There you go. Bring the future in, baby. Let's go. Go, Pack, go. I just want to
it was a good one. It was a good one.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see the fellas play as well as they did. I thought that, I don't know, I was impressed, especially with the defense. But before we get into all of our conversation about this game, let's hear from our coach. Let's hear from Mr. Matt LaFleur, and what he had to say post-game.
Hey, bring it up nice and tight. Let's go. Come on, bring it in here. I'm so damn proud of this football team. Everybody in here, man. We talked about playing complimentary football. That was complimentary football at its finest. Give it up for yourself. How about our defense? 10. Three takeaways. McKinney with the pick. Wilson with the pick. And Evan Williams with the final pick. On defense. Give it up for Daniel Whalen. Let's go. 3 punts inside the 20-yard line. How about the big boys up front? 53 rushes for 260. I got to give it up for this guy.
Oh, yeah, you know it.
This guy was here 3 weeks ago, man. 3 weeks ago.
You know it.
3 weeks ago.
You know it.
He was 12 of 14 for 122.
I just appreciate y'all boys helping me out along the way, bro, instilling confidence in me and helping me, go out there and play.
That's one game, man. That's one game. We'll enjoy it for 24 hours, and then we get back at this thing. We got a damn good football team, man, and it's never perfect, but I think the sky's the limit for this group. We got to keep battling, and we got to stay together. That is key. Hang on for the ride, all right? I failed to mention, happy birthday, Sean Ryan.
Hey. Man, great freaking win today. Celebrated 24 to 36 hours. But the best teams, man, keep going from here, man. It ain't no teetering. The best teams keep going, and we all gonna stay together and stick together as one and have each other back from here on out. Let's get it, man. Let's get it. Pack on 3, 1, 2, 3. Pack!
Yeah.
Every time I hear that boy talk, I think he crazy.
Don't do Jair like that, man. Don't do it.
And that's my dude too. He probably might be one of my favorite cornerbacks we ever had. But that boy got screw loose.
Don't do 2-3 like that.
Don't hurt him too bad. Don't hurt him too bad, Burns. Fellas, look, we got a chance to see a team that really had to, had to battle in this one. It got off early. Amazing day from Jacobs. He came out there and did his thing in this contest. He had 32 carries, 151 yards, 4.3 on the ground. Should have had a touchdown, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And he did his thing out there. He really helped Willis get along. Then on top of that, we got Xavier McKinney, defensive player of the game, 4 tackles and a pick. That's 2 straight games for McKinney getting an interception right now, tied in the top of the league, but there's only 2 games in, but we'll take it. Fellas, and this is where I come to you, Randell. We don't usually sign big. We don't usually sign big, but when we do, we usually get it right. And Goody Main did this. So I'm going to go to you first before we go to Ruck. How does it feel seeing that the 2 guys that we brought in to help bring this thing a little bit further show up big in week number 2?
Not shocked, not surprised. I mean, I remember Goody Mill sitting over there. I was sitting right here. He had his cognac. I had the Hennessy. He was like, "What do you think about McKinney?" I said, "Well, the Giants are stupid. They ain't gonna re-sign him. Go ahead, pull the trigger, man. Pull the trigger." What do you think about Jacobs? We going back and forth. This man talking about letting Jones go. I said, "You've been smoking too much. You need to put that down." But hey, man, at this point, I'm not. On all jokes aside, I'm not surprised. The dude knows what he's doing. Those first couple drafts was a little shaky.
a little bit.
I mean, if you go back and look at the draft that he brought Jordan in, I think Jordan and maybe only one other guy from that draft class are still on the team.
Yeah, it was a rough draft.
It
was a really rough.
And
draft.
then after that,
Really
he
rough
been on
draft.
fire. Like he just been on fire.
Yeah.
And then the approach with free agency, you sign guys, and you didn't sign old guys either. So that idea of keep this team young, you kept the team young because McKinney's what, 25?
Yeah.
Jacobs is 25, 26.
Yep. You got to follow. You got to follow the core years. Yep.
The beautiful part about the Jacobs deal is they can get out of it after 1 year. So it's literally like a prove it deal because there's nothing guaranteed after the first year. So this dude has to play like, so all that 4 years, $40 million. Nah, the rest of that deal is just fluff. He has to bust his ass to try to keep that deal.
It's brilliant.
Like,
I don't know. It's brilliant.
And hats off to the unsung hero Russ Ball, capologist for the last God knows how many years. That dude just makes magic with the numbers. And I'll touch on something later, but matter of fact, I'll get on it now. So the term Bomani Jones used,
Big, fast, fun.
so when he used that term, he referred to Josh Allen and said, Josh Allen really messed up a lot of people. Because you would always look for a quarterback that was big, but now that it's okay to be fast, I feel bad for you, Andre Ware and all those other black quarterbacks that came before, because before that was a detriment. It was like, oh, you're too fast. Now everybody wants themselves a big, fast, fun quarterback. But these Will Levises and Anthony Richardsons, you don't know how these dudes gonna play out. They big, they fast, they fun. So at least if you losing, hey, you got somebody electric. Some of these dudes ain't ready to play.
Yep.
So hats off to us for always thinking like, look, we need to get a dude that can play quarterback. Like, first off, you can play quarterback. I don't care how much athletic ability you got. Can you play quarterback? And then you're going to sit your ass down for a while. And then we'll figure it out. Like, nobody needs to start day one. CJ, exception to the rule. Amen, exception to the rule. For the most part, sit your behind down. You already see what's going off in Carolina. Like, this young man is
I feel so bad for him, man. I feel so bad for him.
They might have ruined this dude. And that's why I'm not nervous about the next week's game, because we playing with them big, fast, phone quarterback. Yeah, you 6'4", you built like Adonis. You could run, you could throw. Like, as much as I may joke about Malik, I don't know if this dude can read a defense.
Yeah,
like, let's think about this. If this was 1995 and Will Levis came out in the draft, he probably goes top 10, right? 6'4", you a stud, you got a rocket arm.
Ryan Leaf.
And right. The right complexion. Hey, that man's going, but that man didn't go to the second round.
Yep.
There's a reason. Like, these gyms ain't stupid, but at the same time, he has no business starting. None whatsoever.
No.
They rushed
like Anthony Richardson. How many starts did he get at Florida? Maybe 8.
Yeah.
And had he not got hurt, they'd have played that man all year last year.
Absolutely.
Like, that's another dude that I guess technically he sat down, but I still don't know if you can play football at the NFL level.
Yeah. It's crazy about him, and Rucker, I'm about to head to you, brother. What's crazy about him? 18. I think this is his 18th or 19th game as a starter since high school. So high school, college, and in the pros, he's had 19 games of experience. And and then my guy Mike Patton, I believe, was the one that told me about this the other day when I was on his show, and he was just like, yeah, that's the time frame that he's had in between. And I'm like, that's crazy to me. That's how talented he is. But it's also about putting it all together. Ruck, what were your thoughts, man, on everything and how everything went out on Sunday?
So, I mean, my first thought is, especially watching that video, thank God Pat Riley is not associated with the Green Bay Packers. Because a couple of them dudes on camera, y'all be in trouble, man. Y'all would be in trouble. That would make no sense, man. But no, seriously, like, so this is the one thing, like I was saying to you guys, even before we got to this game, when we signed Malik Willis, I said to you guys, schematically, he fits. Scheme-wise, he can play from a scheme standpoint in our system. Skill set, it matches our scheme. I think what you have seen in the NFL, and Bomani Jones talked about this too, is that the league has changed from a standpoint, especially from the quarterback position. You need an athlete at the quarterback position. I think that's why, like Burns was saying, we saw a Josh Allen, get the praise that he got, get drafted as early as he did. We saw even Sam Darnold coming out of USC getting what he got.
Let me just interrupt real quick.
Remember,
the knock on CJ was he didn't run enough.
Right. So the league has made this switch to where the black quarterback that we used to marvel at back in the day, now the league is looking for that type of athlete at the premium position. I think what I will give Goody Man props for is in the backup or getting Malik to be in that room is going to do us more justice in terms of where we are along the NFL landscape, right? Just in case a guy goes down like Jordan, you have somebody like Malik. Just in case that we continue to go into football where we play these different schemes and rotate different quarterbacks and different skill sets, like a Cordell Stewart when he was back in the day, like some of these teams that we're seeing now, like this helps, right? The one thing that I will say, I can't see it. Nine starts
is 92. That's it.
Right. The one thing that I will also say that I was really impressed about, especially going into this game, is not only the rushing yards that we were able to get, the rushing attempts that we were able to get, but for all that boy was not touched in his first game. That's a great stat for an offensive line that's growing and developing, right? Everything else that I think that we saw in the Eagles game, we saw kind of translate a little bit differently in this game. Like in the Eagles game, they had at least 20 more plays. In this game, we had at least 17 more than the Colts did, right? And again, that's a testament to the defense. Again, the new scheme that allows Kenny to kind of move where he needs to be at the front of that line and have Wyatt next to him, which what I have been calling for at least 5 to 6 years, is benefiting what we're trying to do. I still would like our scheme to be a little bit better because there were a lot of situations where Jonathan Stewart got started. I mean, he had a couple of early runs that was like 12 yards, 17 yards, 20 yards, when it's like, again, the scheme. Put somebody a hat on a hat. I don't know how many times a week I got to say it, but you'll see it if you watch it again. It's confidence, man. I think even going back to Malik, and I'm going to stay on him because I think, again, where we are in the league, some of these guys need some type of praise. Like, he is a great fit, not only for the scheme, but he's a great fit for the team. He's not a guy that's going to come in and cause – there's no quarterback controversy here. Everybody knows that.
No, not at all.
He's not a guy that's going to even start any of that. He's also a guy that can learn at a good clip because we saw his production at Liberty, right? Even though you just talked about it, Anthony Richardson, how many starts again?
I think it was like 18 or 19 total.
18. Malik has had a good, solid run in college where he was the guy, where he had to do a lot of stuff.
3 years?
Yeah, where he had to do a lot of stuff and perform at a high level to get into the league, right? So he's definitely ready. But I think, again, I go back to it, what's going to continue to carry us is our willingness for our coaches to swallow their pride and say, let me look at what's going on in the league and adapt some of what we're doing. Burns, I will kind of push back on that point that you made about the playbook being bust down to the studs. I don't think they did. Matt even talked about it. They didn't take a lot out. He said they even added some things in that would fit his skill set. I think now what is going to happen in Tennessee is he's going to have more opportunity not only to run the ball, I'm talking about Malik, but he's going to have more opportunity to make a lot more of the short throws that he can make and read easily. Like you said it, he was amazingly efficient, very efficient. There weren't a lot of throws outside of that one that Dobbs saved him on that you said, hey, that's a really bad throw or that's a really bad read. So I think, we're moving in the right direction. It's the second week, but I mean, that's a hell of a way to get a victory. That's a hell of a way for our defense to stand up the entire game. So I'm very pleased with the direction.
I'll say this about Willis. I felt like just watching him on the field, there was a confidence there that you didn't see when he was in Tennessee. When he was in Tennessee, you could tell it felt like he was being thrown out to the wolves. That's the vibe that it came from. Is like, okay, he's a third round pick. Is he ready to go? And they put him in really bad situations.
Right.
This situation, I think he knew, okay, I don't have to do everything to win this game. I think he knew the talent the team had around him. And I think he had confidence in the coaches, and that he felt that the coaches had confidence in him. I think that part of it is different. And then in the video we showed, you could just tell that those guys have been surrounding him all week,
right?
Showing him love all week, giving him praise all week, telling him we got your back all week. And the energy they showed after, they gave him the game ball, and you can just see it in his face. He lit up. He lit up. He was so excited about the situation. He was humble about it because he knew what ugly looked like. He knew what ugly looked like down in Tennessee. And now he's getting a chance with a really good team to kind of grow. And like you said, Ruck, he's not in a position that, you got you starting. No, you can sit back and learn from one of the greatest quarterback coaches of all time. You can just sit back there and learn from greatness. So that part of it I love.
Hey, there's another quick point that I wanted to make, especially about that, right? We talk about in sports all the time how important chemistry is, right? But I tell you, the most underrated feeling or philosophy in sports is the ability to be comfortable, right? Fox did a piece this weekend on Baker Mayfield and talking about how he's kind of grown into his position in Tampa Bay, right? The one thing that he continued to say is, you know what? I'm comfortable. Not only am I comfortable here, but they told me coming in that they wanted me here, right? So look at, again, the maturation of our team, still a young team, but if you looked at everybody, they're comfortable. They're comfortable in the moment. And I think that's something that translates to on-the-field play. So, like, in D, I watched your episode earlier when you were on with the guy from the Titans, and you said it. Like, if Malik says that this ain't a big game, he's lying. But I'll tell you one thing. Proving somebody wrong is a great motivating factor, especially in football. And then it's a great motivating factor for your teammates. If they with you like we just saw in that video, they're going to go out there and they're going to put on. So it's going to be really interesting in Tennessee. I mean, I can't wait.
Yeah, I think they know what it means to him. And I think the fellas are going to show up for him. Randell, you had some things you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Bro.
So to the part about the locker room and the environment, that also goes back to, and there have been times where we've got on the organization because they won't bring in certain players because there might be some character issues. But because I remember when they skipped over George Pickens, one of the beat writers was like, due to his past, there wasn't a shot in hell that Goot would have brought him in. And as much as we've knocked it, and I'll be the first to say I've knocked it too, now when you see it, it's like, okay, I see why y'all did that.
Yeah.
Like and they said last season, there were times where they considered, like, is Jair a good fit for this place? Because of the youth on the team. And it was like, we don't need a bad influence over the rest of the team. So now when you have a situation where the unquestioned leader of the team isn't on the field, and y'all know how that go. If you out, you damn near don't even exist.
Yeah.
Like, we moving on, and when you come back, you get your leadership back. But right now, it's about the people that's on the field. To see Jair step up like that, and to see other people step up, like, you always know Gary's going to be there. Like, nobody's going to say a damn word to Gary. He's always going to provide that leadership.
Big boy. It's a big boy.
But to see the whole team rally around, and it's like, okay, I see why y'all do some of the things y'all do. We see why.
It's a different team, Burns. Like you said it. You said it before. Like, one of the luxuries that we're gonna have over the next 5 years, hopefully longer, is that this team is gonna be able to grow together. Like, you looked at what the NFL has turned into. Like, as some of my young boys tell me, it's a vibe, right? And that's the vibe of that team. That team is not only, we're not the team that's not gonna rally around people. It's never going to be, again, like I said, it won't be a quarterback controversy. It's never going to be a question of the leadership. But I think you're seeing the team that really supports itself and says it really is us against everybody else. right? And a lot of teams don't have that. Like I looked at the game last night, and even on the Philly and the Atlanta side, I was like, man, because there was a couple of plays that Kurt made that, like the sideline, some of those young guys were looking at him like,
what you doing, bro?
Like,
what you
for
doing?
real? Right? And then Philly, there were a couple possessions that Jalen could have ran and did some different things, and he didn't. And you saw guys kind of checking him like, hey, man, you supposed to be that guy. So we need you to be that guy in the moment. For us, the one thing that I haven't seen, and I think 23 kind of pushes this to the front of the line for me, is that we don't have people that's about to be pointing fingers. I think we have a team now that's going to be accountable. And for me, again, early, ugly win like this is going to translate into great things later on in the season.
Yeah.
And you know why that another thing, and this is, I will ding 12 for it. You would have guys say something, and 12 would publicly in a press conference embarrass him.
He would embarrass him.
Right.
Do y'all remember when I think Christian Watson caught a touchdown? No, he had ran the wrong route. And at the end of the game, they were talking to 12, and he was like, you want to catch touchdowns, you better run the right route.
I think that was his first game too. I think that's that Minnesota game.
No, it wasn't the Minnesota game. It was the Minnesota game later in the year.
Yeah.
And it was like towards the end of the game in the goal line, and Watson ran the wrong route. Next play, he ran the right when I got a touchdown. And they asked him, well, you want to catch touchdowns, you got to run the right route. And I'm like, y'all just won the game. The dude caught a touchdown. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's for you, man. I think a lot of A-Rod's frustration and the way he treated some of the players was a lot towards the team and more not the players themselves. I think it ended up like projecting on the players because he was frustrated on what the organization was doing and what he wanted done. And that's like, I'm not trying to defend him or anything, but I think that's what a lot of it had to be because, like when he first got to New York, it was like you saw all of the chummy stuff. It's like, oh, look at this, is nice. But even after a while, you started seeing some stuff. Him and Garrett Wilson kind of arguing on the sideline. Yes, it was just like little small stuff. And Aaron's going to be Aaron, and we're not going to deny the greatest arm talent in probably in NFL history and what we've seen. And so, look, I'm just glad as a Packer enthusiast that the energy on this team is probably the best I've seen it in a long time. I'm talking about probably like 96.
I was just about to say, I'll go back to them Brett years.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Brett years. Yeah. And it's not enough. The last time, I think the best time we had it is, and it was a Super Bowl year, but the 2011-2010 year, to me, best time frame for the Rodgers years. They won the Super Bowl, obviously, but that next year when they went 15-1, they were clicking. And then the playoff game happened, you're like, ugh. But other than that,
it never felt like they was cohesive.
Like that 15-1 year didn't feel like that. The year
it was a weird year.
The year before felt cohesive though.
I feel like getting along, like we got each other back on the field. Yes, but you felt like Brett was one of the guys. I never felt like Aaron was one of the guys. I felt like Aaron had his guys. Yeah, I never felt like he looked at everybody like we all the same.
We all family.
Yeah. Well, the big thing about it was, and it still is to me the greatest thing about Brett. Brett was fun.
Yes.
He was absolute fun. Every day he was fun, right? A-Rod, for his greatness, was never the fun guy, right? He was the guy trying to be perfect. So I think his leadership. So this is how I would give the two eras a comp, right? The Brett era was Showtime Lakers with Magic.
I knew you was gonna say
fun.
It's a pretty solid.
It was fun, right? Yeah. Everybody loved it. It was a party everywhere. It was fun.
Right.
The Aaron era was The Last Dance. I'm here to win. I don't care what you think, what you feel. I'm here to win because I know what y'all just saw. I want to rewrite that. And I think that's how he approached it. I think, again, in the league, and you guys have seen it, y'all watch sports for many years, right? In people's careers, they go through ups and downs. I think now Aaron, on the twilight of his career, is approaching that he needs to be fun because these guys are younger, right? The luxury that we have with Jordan and the rest of his team is they all the same damn age.
Yeah.
They do the same things. So it's never really gonna be, oh, look at Uncle over there, he tripping.
Yeah,
everybody in the locker room is the young boy. They probably all got stupid nicknames like, what's that TikTok? Hey, yo, what's your street name? What's your real name? They all probably got that.
right?
This is LeBron early in Miami with all the handshakes. Remember in Cleveland when they used to take all the pictures and they used to do all that other stuff? This is what our Packers are right now, and it translates because those type of teams will never leave anybody behind.
Yeah.
Right? So it translates. But we got to get Matt. Matt got to continue to say,
I like fiery, Matt. I like fiery, Matt. Come on, man.
I hope this did because, again, and we haven't seen it. Him going to that 5-man scheme not only helped Malik, but it helped our offensive line. And if you want to get those big plays, this is how we got to look. This is how we have to look when Jordan comes back because it's going to
elaborate on a 5-man scheme for those that don't know.
So, I mean, 5-man fronts are really kind of simple. It's almost like you're starting in a normal big package with that tight end, or you may go double tight end, or you may move it to where it's a true strong side of the field, right? You'll have more people on one side, left or right, than you have on the other, right? And what it forces the defense to do is it forces everyone to move to that side because they don't want to. In football, the worst thing to be is outmanned. So because you have to move everybody to that side, it really opens up the weak side of the field and counter runs. So what you would get from a Kyle Shanahan, from his dad, like those runs that Jacob ran were a lot of those inside counters that a defense really can't scheme because even if you did a stunt, your stunt is going to take you so far away from the play, you're really going to miss it, right? So going to that really calmed down the offense, and he clearly has it in the offense, but he hasn't run it for some reason because I'm sitting there the whole first quarter watching like, man, if 10 had this right now,
yeah.
If 10 got these looks, oh my God,
man,
what would this look like? Like what would it really look like? Like there were a couple things that I'm like, there's no way because you can't account for it.
Damn.
And especially if somebody's running the ball like Josh Jacobs is running, that first line of the defense, all linebackers are taught you have to take a step forward. Right? That's how look, what did we talk about? I said he has to get into naked boots. Remember the one where Willis pulled out to the right? He's running, he's looking like there's nobody there. Again, 5-man front, because it's a naked boot. Now there's nobody there. And now what Burns said, big, and he ain't big, but average, fast, and fun. But he run like a tank, though.
Yeah.
Right? So now when you get that on the outside, it causes problems, man. So I think scheme is everything in this league.
Yeah, I felt like watching it that like I said, we talked about how comfortable everybody looked and just how like even though it ended up being a closer game, I kept saying to myself, man, when I went back and watched it, I said, man, if Jordan was playing, we're probably up by like 30, and that's how like I think confident how cool. Now Matt may have called the game a little bit differently.
That was my fear. I was like,
he may have called the game differently, but if you call it that way with Jordan, that's a whole different monster because we're talking about there are going to be throws made that Malik can't make. That if Jordan was playing, it's like a whole different monster. So I just want to see Matt kind of keep like his foot on the gas pedal in this situation.
Got to. Absolutely has to. The other thing that I will say really quickly, man, I was screaming at the TV the entire game. Quay, what are you doing? What are you doing, sir? What are you doing?
I feel like he regressed a little bit.
He might be fried.
Man, oh man! Yeah. If he keeps. I promise you, and I know that young man is smarter than I think he is. But he make me think that he say Hulk smash.
Yeah.
That seems like to be his cause. When he's in the huddle, he say to everybody, Hulk smash, and everybody like, yo, what is he talking about?
Well, man, get your mans.
Get your mans, bro.
I'm not sure about the intelligence of these Georgia players after these speeding and.
Listen, I don't know the speed and athleticism. Yes,
I'm talking about these Hellcats they driving at 100 miles an hour.
Listen, man, I was screaming the whole game. I said, "Goop, please go find somebody in free agency, somebody that understands this game, please."
Now this year's our year money wise, correct?
No, next year.
Next year.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
It's coming though. It's coming.
Listen, and I know Burns is going to hate this, D. Get one of them old men off the street. Find a Joe Flacco linebacker off the street.
Joe Flacco linebacker off the street.
Get some. We need. What'd he say?
Big, fast, fun.
No, we need the bottom one.
Yeah. Yes. Smart, slow. Yes.
And vanilla.
Yes.
We need Blake Martinez. Blake Martinez.
Listen, baby. Man, I'm literally sitting there and I'm like, man, like just somebody in the middle of this defense that can really direct these athletes, right? Like, I think I was watching the Seattle game, and I know it won't show up on any tape or anything it show up on tape, but the end of that game, the stops that they got against Jacoby Brissett were all Bobby Wagner. It was all him saying, nope, not here, you go there. I got this side, you stay there. When it come back, I'm here.
Yeah. It's funny you said, because last year he was like, I'm not taking on these double teams no more. I send these young boys to go do that.
That's funny.
Right.
That's funny.
Right. But send them to do that, right? And this again, it's simple. But Quay can't. Jordan was probably looking at Quay. He was probably talking to Quay like, "Hey man, you all right out there?
You reading these tackles and these guards?"
Well, I saw a stat, and I somebody posted it online, or I think in his first year he averaged 12 tackles that he missed, and then last year was only 6 tackles that he missed, and then this year he's averaging 18 missed tackles. I'm like, that's a crazy number. Hey, 18 missed tackles is crazy.
Is that kid from Texas A&M getting in the game?
I don't think he's playing. I think he's nicked up. If I'm not mistaken,
injury.
I think he got hamstring injury. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. But
he might have to step in because
somebody got to do something because that's not good. And that's the thing. Like I felt like after last year, that's why I said I feel like he regressed a little bit and it's early. But last year he looked like a different monster compared to what we look at like now. Maybe he's just not understanding the defense yet.
I was gonna say, Ruck, do you think he's having trouble picking up the scheme? Because isn't he supposed to be looking like Fred Warner in this new scheme?
He should be killing them.
So here's the thing. I think transitions in football positions are different at each level, right? Mm-hmm. If you have an outstanding defensive end in high school, their skill set is going to translate to an outside backer in college, right? Or how outside backers now become edge rushers. It's because they have that defensive end skill set that they've developed early, right? The only skill set that's a comp to a Mike linebacker is a strong safety.
Okay. Because
they have to read. He's never been at Georgia, he was not the Mike linebacker. So to take him from outside, where he's been playing at least for 4 or 5 years, and then say, okay, now you got to learn inside. Because again, Mike linebackers, you know why Ray Lewis was so great at what he was able to do in his NFL career? Because he was able to process information fast, right? You watch any Ray Lewis tape, he's talking the whole pre-snap, just like the quarterback is, and he's processing 3 levels of information from his ends to his nose to his backers. Quay can't do that. And it's bad for us to put him in that position because he's a natural outside backer.
Right.
He can cover some in space, but he can get after the quarterback. That's what you have him do.
So we're doing him a disservice right now.
We're doing him an absolute disservice. It's almost like I comp it to the same thing that when we drafted Kenny, we looked at him and said, yeah, we just going to leave you in a 3 technique your whole career. What? Somebody that's a monster, you don't put a decoy next to him? Like, listen, they did that with Aaron Donald. They did that with Warren Sapp. Listen, even in that Tampa 2 defense, there is 4 defensive linemen.
Yeah.
You understand? So I think for Quay, he's in a horrible position. I think the coaches should have known that going into camp. But I think what makes Quay so attractive is the fact that he's an ultra athlete.
Yeah.
Because the boy can run sideline to sideline like nobody. And if he hits you, you're going to feel it. But just like we saw in the Eagles game and a lot of runs that Jonathan Stewart had, he'll overrun things because he's just trying to get to a point. It's just Hulk smash.
Is it remember when they made Clay Matthews, they put him in the inside that year and they took him away from the outside?
Yeah.
Do you think it's the same vibe or it's the same situation? Because
it's the same thing.
Even though Clay had a solid year, like he
hated it.
He hated it. And I think that's the same thing that's probably going on with Quay. Like you gotta
Clay underperformed. Even in that year he was still a Pro Bowler, he underperformed.
Yeah.
Because you took him away from his natural skill set, right? So again, honestly, I would even like the scheme to just be, if you're gonna run it this way, and if you're gonna trust somebody in the middle with what our current roster is, put McDuffie in the middle. At least I know watching him, you can tell he processes information differently. Mm-hmm. So put him in the middle. Let him run it.
So are you trying to say Quay didn't take his SATs?
Yo, stop.
I know he ain't take his SATs.
It is.
Hey, yo, you know what Quay is? Remember that opening scene from Night School with Kevin Hart?
Hey, yo,
and his sister was like, spell your name. And he was like, T-E. And she was like, no, T-H. He was like, no, it ain't no H in Teddy. Your name is Theodore, son. That's what the problem is right now. So Quay, no, he can't. And look, and he didn't go to Georgia to read defense.
Yeah.
They told
we didn't come to school to play school.
And his mama, listen, we want him to come and hit people.
I didn't come to school to play school.
And he said, Hulk smash.
That's too funny. That's too funny.
Come on.
That's too funny. You know, so we see this Packers team get the win, which is good. Now we got to worry about Tennessee. Well, I mean, you know, I ain't neither, but I'm trying to be civil here. So the Tennessee Titans, the Packers head to Tennessee, their second official road game of the year. And, you know, the Titans all-time do have the all-time lead over the Packers with 8 wins to 6. But it's funny because I think for myself, I don't even remember these two teams like facing off against each other that much, which I think is kind of interesting to me because I know it happened, but to me, it just never really feels like it has happened. You know, I got Mike Patton coming on in a little bit, and this is what he said his keys to a Titans victory are, and I wanted you to get your guys' opinion on this. He said, stuff the run, make Malik beat you with his arm. Number 2, he said he doesn't want the Titans to beat themselves. He said, and this is for Will Levis. And then number 3, he said the left side of the line has to play up to standard. Skoronski and Latham. When they play good, the line plays good. And that's kind of where he sees this game and where Tennessee has to go. Do you agree with any of that, fellas, that's what, you know, I guess that's what they have to do to stop the Pack in this one? Rucker, I think you sound. There we go.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
So I think if Malik gets happy and tries to beat them with his arm, then it's going to be a layup for them. But I think he's going to stay within the system. So I think they offensively just have a lot more to worry about than we do. So Levis, I don't know, man, because in that game,
he looked out of whack, bro.
Yeah, big, fast, and fun, but he looked really like there was some plays that he made. I'm like, did you take your SATs?
Man, Callahan was pissed. I've never seen a coach. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've never seen a coach disrespect quarterback, especially on the pro level, the way he did during that game and post game. And he was as clear as day with it. He's like, it was dumb. Like he pretty much was like, my quarterback is stupid. That's the vibe that it came from when he was in that. I said, good God, this is brutal. Like Eric, I almost felt bad. I almost wanted to write him a letter. I'm like, hey, yo, Will, you all right, bro? Like I wanted to hit him like a DM and like, you good? Because
but if you looked at that, it's because their defense gave him tons of opportunities.
Yeah,
and he just gave it back so many times. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the Jets really should not have been able to come back and win that game.
No.
Yeah.
But because he gave them opportunities, it's like, what are you thinking? But then he turns around after a dumb play and makes that great throw to Ridley on the sideline. Like, that was an amazing throw. But I don't see – they got a lot of problems on offense, man.
Their defense
I think
is
the
great.
way our defense is playing, I think we'll be all right. But they got a great defense too.
They got a great defense, man. Their defense has been solid over the last couple of years. When everything else has failed, that defense has been on point.
I think you got to treat him. I got to find a new word for it because I don't want to keep disrespecting us. But you just got to treat him like one of them quarterbacks, man. You show him something different pre-snap, and then once that ball gets snapped, you show him something else. And that man's gonna be looking all over the place. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Because you know what he reminds me of? Josh Allen in year 1 and year 2.
Ooh, it was a little rough.
Year 1, he was throwing the ball like he was trying to give that ball away, and he's doing stuff just like that. But I don't see enough upside to where it's like you got to ride this thing out and stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just does some dumb stuff.
Well, in that year, the year that he did turn everything around, that was the year that they brought Stephon Diggs in. So when Diggs came around, they gave him the number 1. Now, here's the thing. Tennessee did that.
Yeah, you got Hopkins and Ridley.
You got Hopkins and Ridley. And let's not forget Tyler Boyd. You got 3 studs, 3 really good, reliable receivers.
And Okwaku as the tight end.
At the tight end. And so you got pieces. You got Pollard in the backfield. And it's like, so you got pieces around you.
Yeah, you were the problem.
Two young guns in the offensive line and 2 top 10 picks at that, And so it's like, how long are they going to hold the leash on him, knowing that, they've got all this talent around? And I'm pretty sure Ron Carthon, the GM for the Titans, wants to win now. Like,
he has to win now.
And he has to win now.
You ain't on a long leash, brother.
Hey, you know what it is? And unfortunately, they're going to find out this week. You know exactly what it is. They picked the wrong guy.
Yep.
With what they were able to kind of bring in offensively, this would work for Malik.
Heck, if they had Tannehill right now, they'd probably be going to work. Like, I just throw that out there. Like, I mean, they would be dangerous if they had Tannehill.
They picked the wrong guy. You know what Will Levis listen? I mean, he looks like his comp is Carson Wentz. That's what he looks like.
Ooh, that's tough.
That's but that's what he look. Big, fast, fun.
Mm-hmm.
Can make some good throws, but he's gonna make some bonehead decisions. Right?
Yeah, but at least Carson Wentz had that run where he could have been the MVP.
Yeah, he did. Carson Wentz was really good for a while.
You know what that was when Carson Wentz had that run. Think about what they had around him.
Yeah,
he had a lot around him, just kind of like Levis does too. But as he started declining, you see, even with that same talent level, he still made some of those same plays that we're saying. And it's the same thing. I mean, again, here it is. You got that defense that really is stout, right? I mean. Again, Malik can't get crazy and try Snead and none of those cornerbacks. But, I mean, if you keep a defense on the field like they were all last Sunday, I mean, somebody like Aaron is going to find a way. Like, he's going to find a way. So I think with our talent level against that defense, and again, Matt staying calm, collective, and trusting in what he can do, I think we can get one in Tennessee.
Yeah, I think it's going to be critical. This to me with the next couple of games, you want this one. You almost have to have this one.
Have to have it.
You can't trust the Vikings game. You can't even really trust the Rams game because Matt Stafford knows Green Bay too well. You cannot.
But they got nobody to throw the ball to.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. But I mean, we thought that when Cooper was down last, and then here come Puka Nacua. So we got to, with I don't know if Robinson and those guys, I think DeMarcus Robinson, I don't know if that's going to be enough. But that's the thing. You kind of want to get this one, which is really important. Now, fellas, before we go over to the next segment where I got my man Mike Patton coming on to talk about this a little bit more in depth from the Tennessee side of things. What are your predictions on the game? What do you want to see? How do you think this thing is?
So last week I said it needed to be about 10 runs for every one pass. I think this week 7 runs, play action, and throw that thing as far as you can down the field. Like, give them, like, I think we were saying that Rucker had said in the text, like, you have to, have the threat of the pass. And now that I trust this dude at least to, check the ball down to where it should go,
right?
Open it up a little bit more. You're not going to be, I don't think you could duplicate that exact game plan we had last week against this defense. Maybe, Matt might surprise me. I am more confident going into this week. Just more so because of who the other quarterback is. And let's be honest, this is a franchise that's been in some dysfunction for a little while now. I guess I don't know too much about this coach. I don't know if he can coach. Now I feel like we're at the point where they're just taking anybody that's from the Shanahan McVay tree. Like, oh, you was a water boy for Shanahan McVay, you can get a job coaching too.
Get in there.
Yeah,
get in there.
Right. But I feel confident, man. Like, I feel like the guys are picking up the defensive scheme. I feel like the O-line's coming together. You know who I really feel bad for? I feel bad for our wideouts. Because all they heard this year, like, there's no number one, and everybody wanted to prove, like, how good they are and develop. And it's not a knock on Malik, but these guys are expecting to get that, 30 targets spread out amongst them. And that might not happen until, what, week 5, week 6?
5, week 6.
And
week 4, potentially.
It doesn't have to happen like that, though. Like, if Matt calls the game some of the way that he did last week, again, quick throws and screens and stuff like that, they'll get touches.
Yeah.
He just has to stay with that. And here's the thing. I want these young dudes to be hungry. Hell yeah. Show me you block first, and then I'll give you the ball. I definitely want to see that.
Damn, Lou Holtz.
Hey,
Lou Holtz.
Listen, you know what happened, right? So, with your advice, I went and watched the Michigan thing.
Yeah.
And they put on that speech, and I said, yeah, the team. Yeah, get with the team. So, yeah, but listen, man, I mean, you know what I want to see? I want to see increased time of possession. And I know it's going to sound crazy. We have 53 rushes. I would love for us to get in the 60s. I would love for it to be in the 60s. Control the game. Because that's the one thing that's always going to work in football. If you running the ball and you beating somebody in the submission, they're going to quit. So run that thing.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest thing I want to see is more progression here for Malik. I said on Mike's show earlier this week that I right now that 14-12 for that first game was nice. I think it has to be more around like 20-22 this time. Yeah, maybe not a lot. Not me. I'm not looking for 30-40. That's crazy work. But anywhere between like that, that 20-22 range is where I need to see Malik passing wise. Obviously, I would like to keep the efficiency going on, but I think that's where I want to see him at. Maybe, and I agree with the running, but maybe if he can connect the way I think he can connect on that front, you may not have to run as much. We're already down with Lloyd being down. Brooks, losing Lloyd on IR. I don't think it's for the season. I think it's one of those 4-game bad boys. But him being down and Wilson still trying to figure out what he got going on, They bring in the Brooks kid off of the practice squad. So he was with the Dolphins last year. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those things that I don't want to wear Jacobs out neither. So I want to be able to, if he can increase the play just a little bit, take a smidge of a load off of Jacobs, that would be something I would be okay with. But if it takes Jacobs getting to 60 or the team getting to 60 rushes to get this dub, before they get the Minnesota game next week, then I'm okay with that.
Hey, listen, one of the other things that we always have to remember, there's nobody else in the NFL that has more carries than Derrick Henry than Josh Jacobs. Right? So he's a bell cow for a reason. I think if we give him opportunities, if we spread it out again, and then we're one of those teams that, again, our quick game is a run game. So let's just utilize it. Like Matt has to continue to dig in his bag, and the bag that he got from his brother, not the bag that he's
put together
himself. The bag he got from his brother and the one his brother got from Greg Norman. We need that bag.
Stop disrespecting my coach, man. That man is an offensive-minded genius. Stop disrespecting that man like that.
Oh, he called little bro and said, "Hey, look, I need your help real quick."
He didn't ask nobody for help. It's the reason he's the head coach. The other one's an offensive coordinator.
Let me tell you something. Burns, don't get it twisted. Matt is not Keenan Ivory Waynes. He's Damon. Don't get it twisted. He might be Sean. If you
don't give him Sean, though.
Hey, I love white picks too. So
not the least talented Wayne. Come on now. I mean, that's a little bit rough. That's a little bit rough. Hey, so another thing I'm excited about, and I didn't realize this was stat until this morning. So lead the league in rushing as a whole. The team is leading the league in rushing, but also leading the league in turnovers early. And I think we got like 5 interceptions so far.
We're at the halfway mark from last year.
I mean, which is saying that Hafley's got something cooking. And the more and more I watch the defense, there's a confidence level that I definitely didn't see last year. But I'm not saying that they weren't confident, but the level
they weren't. They hated the scheme.
The level is way different than what it was last year. And you can just you're vibing it. The guys seem to really like it. I still think it's still a work in progress once we get maybe some better pieces in certain places. But if you're already early on in the season, especially against an Eagles team that people say that they're NFC Championship bound, maybe Super Bowl bound at some point, they're in the mix for that. The Colts maybe not so much, but still a young, talented team. Mm-hmm. But when you can see them play as well as they have so far, I'm like, I can deal with that. I mean, they really handled Philly in the first part of their game. Our offense just didn't show up the way they needed to show up in order for us to really push that game. That game should be 2-0. But I'm gonna let that go because things happen. Sometimes you have to have that trial and tribulation to get better throughout the season. And I think Matt's starting to feel it. We saw it in the speech. Like I really do think if he could crank that, I don't want to see sad Matt because sad Matt that you be seeing in press conference, I'd be ready to fight this guy. I need you to be aggressive. I need you to be Bill Belichick aggressive. That's the Matt LaFleur I want. Still keep all the great schemes, do all that good stuff, but I need you to have that Bill Belichick mentality. I've always wanted to coach that way. We've never had that coach that just said, "I don't care what you want. I'm about to drop 85 points on you. I don't care who you are. We're gonna score 56, and I'm gonna keep Tom Brady or Jordan Love in the last 2 minutes. I don't care. We're gonna keep cranking up on you. I want that. I felt like that's one thing Green Bay's never had. We've had like offenses that were talented enough to do that, and they just said, "Nah, we're just gonna, we're gonna let McCarthy be like, all right, we're gonna run the ball down in a second." No,
kill
them,
kill
them.
I used to hate when you start calling them screens.
Boy, if you don't stop running,
throw that ball down the field.
Man, go kill him. You got Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. You got Jordan Love. I mean, not Jordan Love. Jordan Nelson, and you got Jermichael. You had a team, and you held off. Like I remember there was game, and I know I'm moving on this rant because I'm getting upset when I think about it. But I remember one time they were playing the Falcons on Monday Night Football, and they were destroying the Falcons in the first half. It was like 28-3. I mean, they were giving them the business. And McCarthy said, "We're gonna hold on back." He held back, and then Julio Jones started going off, and then still won the game. But it was like, bro, what are you doing? I need Matt to be like Bill Belichick when it comes to I don't care about your team and I don't care about your feelings. I'm here to win ball games. That's the Matt LaFleur I want to see when it comes to coaching aggressiveness. Make that happen, Matt. Make that happen. That's all I'm asking for.
Right.
Nothing too shabby. Nothing too shabby. All right, fellas, look, once again, thank y'all. You know, every week is always a great week when I got the fellas on here. So I'm very excited. Can't wait for next week. Hopefully we'll have something happy to talk about next week here on Green and Gold Over Everything. But next, I got my man Mike Patton from touring the AFC South. If anybody knows the AFC South, Mike Patton knows the AFC South. So we're going to talk about Tennessee and the Packers game in our game preview. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have entered week 3 of the NFL season. And, you know, we like to bring on special guests to kind of give you a little bit of insight on the team that the Packers taking on this week. And this week, that team is the Tennessee Titans. Now, I said to myself this week, who do I bring on? Who do I bring on that has that Tennessee Titan knowledge better than anybody that I could think of? And I couldn't go no further than my guy, Mike Patton, who is the host of Touring the AFC South. Mike, how's everything going, brother? How have you been?
Everything's going great. How are you, man? I gotta get me a updated picture too, man. I mean, the hair don't look the same no more.
You know what's crazy? Like that picture, I think we had when we did our one-on-one episode together back, and that was 2 years ago. Like, where has the time gone, man? Like, it's the craziest thing. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So yeah, and then when you pulled up, I said, man, Mike Hanna got long. So the game has changed just a little bit, just a little bit, man. But yeah, man, how's everything going with you, man? How's your family? How's everything going?
Everything is going great, man. Everything is going great. I'm living, I'm breathing. I'm here another day to make an impact.
That's what I like to hear, Mike. I mean, it don't get no better than that, brother. It don't get no better than that. So, yeah, we got this game coming up. Both teams are kind of still trying to find their way. The Packers obviously with some injuries, but the Titans are still trying to figure out the Will Levis effect. Like what is this gonna be like over the next next couple of years potentially? But tough loss for Tennessee in the game on Sunday against the Jets. What did you see in that game that you wish you wouldn't have seen, and what do you would like to see better from that team?
Well, a little bit of hero ball, I would say. Basically, they had points, and Will Levis made a mistake like he made against the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears game, for those that don't remember, instead of taking a sack, he tried to throw the ball out of bounds, and he didn't make it. Threw it right to the guy, Stevenson, for the Bears, and he walks in for a game-winning touchdown, and they lose the game. This game, they're driving in. They're in goal to go, I believe.
Right.
And he's scrambling. He gets tackled, going to get sacked. He thinks, it's a good idea to maybe try to lateral this ball to Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's really not paying attention to that. Of course, ball hits the ground. Jets get the ball. You lose the opportunity to get points because of trying to play hero ball. That's the thing that I saw a lot of. I will say, Big Jeff, Jeffrey Simmons, he did lose his cool in one drive. Extended the drive for the Jets and allowed them to score. He can do that from time to time because he's a highly energetic and emotional player out there when he's out there, and he definitely make impact. But that was huge in terms of that. But that's kind of what I saw. I saw Calvin Ridley making plays too, which I definitely Jacksonville fans weren't happy to see him leave, and some were happy to see him leave because they felt he dropped a lot of passes, things like that.
I bet you they wish they had him now.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, because Mr. Christian Kirk is kind of gone milk carton status the first couple of weeks, which I'm shocked by. As much as I'm shocked by that, as much as I'm shocked by. I was shocked by his contract a couple of years ago. I'm shocked by that now. I'm like, wow, where is he going?
Yeah, they Jacksonville messed everything up. I still think that's in a long effective term why part of the reason why Devontae didn't go to Green Bay, because that money initially, I was like, man, why are they doing this, man? Not for Christian Kirk. He want money. like money. But but it is what it is. I know Coach Callahan was a little bit upset too. During the game, then they talked about him yelling at Levis during the game. So look, maybe they figure it out this week. I don't want them to figure it out this week, but maybe they figure it out this week. So Mike, I wanted to get from you, Packers and Titans. The Titans do hold the all-time record against the Packers 8-6. How do they make that 9 this week? What are your 3 keys to victory for the Titans to get win number 9 versus the Packers?
Well, first thing, it's got to be the stuff to run. Make Malik Willis beat you. Now, for those that are Titans fans that are listening, yes, Malik Willis will be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers against his former team, the Tennessee Titans. Of course, he's got to give you 12 to 14 yards. He gave you 12 to 14 yards, 122 yards and 1 touchdown, and 6 rushes for 41 yards. But you got to make Jacobs not rush the football very well, because he rushed for 150 yards, and the Green Bay offensive line was getting that work. And, of course, can't beat yourself. Will Levis, of course, 2 games, 2 inexplicable plays. We won't get into those, of course, right now. We'll probably get into those in a second. And then also, of course, the left side of this line has to play up to the standard. They basically, when they play good, the Titans offense plays good. When they don't, it kind of takes a little bit of a step down. Yesterday or Sunday, I should say, I'm sorry, the Titans weren't necessarily the greatest on the other side of the ball, or other side of the line, I should say. So, that side of the line actually is the standard. When they play well, usually the offense plays well also.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I saw the clips and stuff from the game, I said to myself, like, initially I thought, okay, I had Tennessee as one of those teams this year that I thought, okay, they could surprise people, throughout the season. I'm not saying playoffs, but I felt like, I thought that Levis would continue to develop, and, they gave him pieces, like they gave him weapons around him. And I thought, okay, to get the 2 offensive linemen in the last 2 drafts, in the last 2 drafts and trying to, build that offensive line. So I'm like, okay, they're going to be all right. They'll be competitive, and they've technically been competitive in these games, but a lot of crazy mistakes.
Yes, a lot of giving away points, which is huge. I mean, like I mentioned, Levis, and the inexplicable interception, then the inexplicable fumble, then the second half of the game, I mean, he plays pretty clean football. So it just it's just the unevenness of it is the thing that probably bothers most Titans fans. They're the mistakes, yeah, those are going to happen, but it's the inexplicable mistakes that are probably blowing the minds of Titans fans at this point, and that's what's bothering them the most.
Yeah, and maybe it comes together. Maybe it comes together this week. We'll see. Now I'll give you my 3 keys to a Packers victory. And they are kind of similar to last week. I will tell people this because I feel like this is going to be kind of the good formula that the Packers are going to need to do until they get Jordan Love back. 1, continue to make the game easy for Malik Willis. And I think the Packers did a really good job of making things smooth for him in his first start as a Green Bay Packers quarterback. And with the numbers, they don't look pretty, 12, they don't look sexy, let's put it that way, but they were efficient. 12 for 14 for 122 and his first career touchdown. That's what they're going to have to continue to do. Now I'm going to skip ahead here and slip to number 3. And a big part of why Malik Willis had such a great game is because Josh Jacobs and the rest of that running game decided to also have a phenomenal day, despite the Josh Jacobs fumble in the end zone, which could have made the game against the Colts maybe a little bit, put away a little bit earlier, but he did fumble in the end zone. Besides that, he had over 120 plus yards. He had a really good game, and that's why they brought him into Green Bay to take over for Aaron Jones, which still hurts a little bit in my heart. So I'm not going to lie to you on that. Going back to number 2, they have to make Will Levis uncomfortable. The defense must stay stingy. They haven't been like turnover machines, but the defense has played really well. Even in the Eagles game, yes, they put up some points, but there were some moments in that game where they really did a good job, especially in the early part of that game where they put the Packers in position to score touchdowns early, and they end up getting field goals out of them. You got to score those touchdowns, fellas. But yes, for me, if you can do these three things, I think the Packers can win this game on Sunday. Mike, what do you think about that? Do you think that is a possibility of any of those things, or is there anything that you see that Green Bay needs to do to win the game on Sunday?
Man, I think you hit the points. I mean, honestly, the running game is going to be paramount. I will say the Titans only give up like 92 yards per game on the ground. So their defense is pretty doggone stout.
Right.
So that's going to be a challenge in itself for the Green Bay offensive line. I'm interested to see who matches up with Mr. Reed at wide receiver for the Packers. I'm interested to see how that happens and if that has a huge effect at all, because of course we see the drop off from Jordan Love to Malik Willis. That's not to say that Malik Willis isn't a solid or can't be a solid quarterback. That's just to say the game plan is different in terms of Green Bay with Jordan Love and Green Bay without Jordan Love. So
yeah, I agree. I think that playbook is a lot more open, obviously, with Jordan Love, and there's so much, Jordan's arm strength alone and his, talent for the game. It definitely would just give the Packers a different edge. But winning the game the way they did on Sunday gives me hope as a Packer enthusiast that they can do the same thing, this Sunday. So it will be fun to see how they do at Nissan Stadium. Now, Mike, before we get off of this bad boy, man, once again, I want to appreciate you for coming on and joining me for this segment. But I want an outlook. I want an outlook on what do you think this Tennessee Titans team will look like throughout the season, and what's the sky? What's the limit for this Tennessee Titans team?
Okay, as far as this Tennessee Titans team, offensively, it's going to be a work in progress, just meaning that, you're still working your offensive line, still getting that solid. You got new pieces outside. DeAndre Hopkins really hasn't been a huge factor to start off the season, which is pretty amazing, being that he was a lead wide receiver last year. And the running game hasn't quite got on track. Of course, Will Levis. So it's going to be a work in progress for that entire offense because all the new pieces, new offense, new verbiage, all those different things. But the defensive wise, you're going to see an aggressive, fast defense that, basically is going to get after you. And they've kept the Titans in games pretty much the first two games to me. So I would say that's where you're going to see the growth. The growth of this team is going to be because of the offense, not because of the defense. I think they could win 9 games this year. I said before the season they could win potentially 10 games. I'm going to come down maybe 1 game off of that. The great thing for them is no one else in the division has won a game outside of Houston. So that's a great thing for them at this point, which is right. It's insane because I had the AFC South as being one of the best divisions in the NFL this year. Mm-hmm. And right now they're not helping my cause at any point.
Hey, I got a couple of those going on right now. I'm going to throw – so there's a couple of teams before we run that kind of messing me up right now. I picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl, and then people like, why? But – I felt like I thought that McVay and them can get that. It's still early, then they can get things turned around. But after that game against the Cardinals, I'm like, whoo, boy, they're going to have to figure some things out quick. Losing Cooper Kupp, that didn't help. The Saints are another team. I had the Saints going like 4-13 this year. And yes, it is early. It is early. But, man, they have been impressive those first 2 weeks. And, the Panthers game, yes, but the Dallas game kind of shocked me a little bit.
I am shocked by them as well. I mean, who knew a Kubiak could fix their offense? I mean, he's Gary Kubiak's son, for those that aren't aware. Gary Kubiak's son, who's the offensive coordinator for Shanahan in Denver for all those years in Houston, is now the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. Came from the Shanahan tree, of course, was out there in San Francisco. Now he's in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he is definitely getting in work. He has got to be making Saints fans kind of star-crossed at this point because they didn't like Derek Carr, but now they're winning with Derek Carr. So they're kind of like, okay, we're winning. We don't like Derek Carr, so I guess we just gonna roll with this at this point.
I guess if he gonna figure it out, I guess we got to figure it out too. But look, it's been, and there's a crazy thing. And before we go, I thought that this Rams team last year I had the Rams going, like this year I got the Rams going to the Super Bowl, but last year I had the Saints going to the Super Bowl. And they were terrible. And this year I had them going bad. Now they're winning. It never fails with me. Just everything always flip-flop, brother. It's always the opposite way. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's just like it's all I can say is it's when the Saints come marching in. That's
Exactly.
all I can say.
Exactly. Hey, Mike, let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
You can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter. Yes, I say the artist formerly known as Twitter to pay respects to one of the greatest artists of all time, Prince. But yeah, you can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePaton 82. And also on Instagram and Threads, you can find me there as that's THA, not THE _general_MP. Of course, touring the AFC South on all listening platforms, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. And also we're on YouTube at the Mike Patton Network.
Y'all make sure y'all go out there and check out the greatness that is touring the AFC South with my guy, Mike Patton. I'm Darrell Lawrence. This has been Green and Gold Over Everything, Episode 3, Season 2. We'll see you all next week for Vikings week. We'll talk, but they're playing good football right now, so I don't want to talk too much trash. We'll see you all next week.